In the quiet hum of the everyday, we often find our rhythm, a steady beat that carries us through. For me, it was the gentle click of a keyboard, the soft rustle of papers, the world outside just a distant murmur. I was focused, locked into my work, my own small universe. But then the first ripples started. A news flash on a screen in the corner of my eye. A siren wailing a little too close for comfort. Strange, unsettling tremors in the conversations I overheard. It was like the world was holding its breath, and I could feel the tension building, a subtle warning that something was about to break. I tried to ignore it, to push it away and stay anchored to my tasks, but the feeling lingered, a premonition of the storm to come. And then it hit. Not with a whisper, but a roar. The shockwaves tore through everything. The familiar rhythm was shattered, replaced by a deafening chaos. Phone calls flooded in, each one a story of panic and loss. The systems we relied on buckled under the strain. It was a crisis that didn't just knock on the door. It blew the door off its hinges and stormed into every corner of our lives. In that moment, it would have been so easy to be swept away, to drown in the noise and the fear. The air was thick with uncertainty, and every instinct screamed to just stop, to hide, to wait for it all to pass. But that's the thing about our purpose. It doesn't fade when the lights go out. In fact, it shines brighter. In the hospital, my colleagues and I didn't stop it. We couldn't. With every new patient, with every scared and desperate face, our mission became clearer. We weren't just treating injuries, we were holding the line against despair. We put on our masks, our gloves, our game faces, and we went back to work. Each small act of care, each steady hand, each calm voice was a pushback against the chaos. It was exhausting, a relentless battle against a tide that never seemed to recede. We were running on fumes, our own fears pushed deep down, but we kept going. We held onto our routines, our protocols, our sense of duty, because in the middle of the storm, it was the only anchor we had. The peak was a blur of adrenaline and exhaustion. A critical moment arrived when our resources were stretched to their absolute limit. A life hung in the balance, and a decision had to be made in a split second, with incomplete information and the weight of the world on our shoulders. The noise of the chaos outside seemed to fade away, and all that existed was that single, intense point of focus. In that moment, there was no room for doubt. There was only the commitment, the promise we made to help, to serve, to protect. It was a test of everything we had, a crucible that forged our resolve into something unbreakable. We stood our ground, not because we were fearless, but because our purpose was stronger than our fear. It was the ultimate expression of why we were there in the first place. As the immediate crisis began to subside, a new, unfamiliar quiet settled in. The world was different, changed. The landscape was scarred, and so were we. But as I looked around, I didn't just see the wreckage. I saw the first signs of recovery. I saw colleagues, once strangers, now bound by an unspoken camaraderie. I saw the resilience of the human spirit not as an abstract concept, but as a living, breathing force. We had been shaken to our core, but we hadn't broken. We had held the line. Now a new chapter begins. The work isn't over. In many ways, it's just starting. There is rebuilding to do, healing to be done, both inside and out. But as I look toward the horizon, I'm not filled with dread. I'm filled with a quiet, determined hope. We face the storm, and we are still standing, ready for whatever comes next. Thank you for watching. Remember to take care of yourselves and each other.